Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome to Thursday Night Live, and we're back again. We're looking back to Tuesday and Saturday, and of course, we'll be looking ahead to this coming weekend as the promotion push hots up. The squeaky bum time is upon us. We'll have a little chat about Stockport, I'm sure, but we'll focus more on, I think, Barnsley Tuesday, and of course, the weekend as well. But I am, as ever, joined by Mr. Jamie Anderson. How are you, mate?
I'm very good, mate. It was a really, really nice Tuesday night, wasn't it? It was probably as comprehensive of performance as you're going to see.
Yeah, we didn't get out of second gear, mate. I didn't think, really. Early goal helps, I think, no doubt. But I just thought we were very good. I thought it was interesting because obviously every man and their dog, including, me, I'm sure you probably expected Callum Robinson to start with Salich out. He hasn't had a lot of starts, and you're thinking, well, he's probably going to be the one to start. And the manager came up with a different game plan, and I thought it really worked to a T. I said in my, I think it was the 5 Things video the day after, we won the game with our off the ball work. Whether we had the ball, like when we had the ball, it was the movement off the ball, or when they had the ball, it was the pressing, and they just couldn't cope with us to the point where their keeper goes down after 25 minutes, which we've seen somewhere else this season. And they changed their tactics a little bit. They started going long, and they started to really try and slow the game down then to disrupt our rhythm and stuff like that. But I just thought it was very good, mate, to be honest. And again, the gaffer, had a plan, and it worked.
Yeah, I mean, we probably all highlighted some of their players to watch, including the left winger, who, in the FA Cup recently, he played very well. Didn't seem to fancy it. All right, he got injured, but that was one of their possible threats out the window. I think they only reduced to probably 2, maybe 3 chances. One which, Trott did very well to tip over the bar from that. Is it Keita Dunn? Whatever his name is, the striker. But I thought we were in control. I thought, we took our chances when they came. It was never going to be a walkover as such. You're not going to have loads of ball and just get it your own way. But, Chris Willock, fantastic. Isn't it great to see a confident Chris Willock that we haven't seen since his QPR days. So there's a lot of people chipping in with goals. It's a lot of free-flowing football. And, Tuesday night games aren't always the most appetizing to come and watch. But everyone on the half-price deal got their money's worth for sure.
Yeah, it was good. The weather was terrible as well. So I wasn't quite sure what a crowd was going to be like. But like you say, that it's probably a good game to put up at half price. And look, I just thought everyone was pretty good. I thought everyone was excellent. I thought Amari Kellyman did a great job. I thought his pressing was really good. And I thought in the preview I had said, Barnsley have got a few defenders out with they're particularly weak in the wide areas if you can get at them. And obviously within 3 minutes we'd got down that right hand side. And I thought Perry NG and Ollie Tanner were excellent all night, really. I thought with Ollie, I thought some of the criticism that he had taken against Stockport was quite harsh because sometimes you're just up against a good fullback, and every time he just tried to thread a little ball on or go around him, the fullback just got like a toe on it or a foot on it and blocked it. And I didn't think Tanner did anything different on Tuesday. It was just he wasn't up against as good a defender. He put in some wonderful balls with his right foot, which is obviously his sort of weaker foot, if you like, which ironically enough, Yusuf Salic would have loved the way they were whipped in, really dangerous. And we didn't probably have the aerial threat, but yeah, I just thought we were very good, mate. And I see again, like I saw a lot of criticism for Ollie on Saturday, which I thought was a bit ridiculous. And then on Tuesday, I see a lot of criticism for Alex Robertson. And I just think he's a bit unlucky with the initial yellow card. And don't get me wrong, it's just instinct what he does, where he probably should get the second yellow. He probably gets away with it because it's so deep it's in their box, right? If he was on the halfway line, he definitely gets a yellow card. But I think we're a better team with him in. And I think, look, I wouldn't be against giving him a rest. I do think at times, the last couple of games, he's looked a little bit like he's maybe just a bit tired. So maybe you could go with Joel in that sort of number 8. He gives you lots of energy away from home. Or even put Turnbull in there if you want a bit more composure on the ball, similar to Robertson. I just, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it's fortunate. I do think we're better when Alex Robertson plays. I think he gives us aggression. He gives us quality on the ball as well. And I thought he was pretty good. First 10 minutes or so, he was a bit, his first touch was a bit heavy. But then when he settled, some of the balls he played out wide and that to Tanner and to Willock were really, really, top quality. And I just think, like, you don't have to, like, someone doesn't have to be criticized every week. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's weird to me, like, but I get it. Like, I do get it on the other end. He could have got a second yellow and then you're playing with 10 men and maybe it's a different game. But, and the manager probably makes the right call to take him off just to make sure there's no risk. And it is, I think it's the second time he's had to come off and that because he's been booked. So maybe that's an element of it. But also, I think, could happen. That could have literally happened to any player who's putting in tackles and getting involved in the physical side. If you get an early booking and then you only have to be slightly late, don't you? And then someone goes out and then, someone just a little bit late and you're already booked and you're off. And it could be not really of any fault of yours because you're just going for the ball. Particularly like you look at someone like a Mari Kellyman, say, who moves the ball so quickly with his feet. You think you've got it. And by the time you get there, it's somewhere else. So yeah, look, it is what it is, isn't it? I just thought I thought everyone was excellent. And Nathan Trott, well, I'll get your opinion on Nathan Trott in a minute, but the save you mentioned I thought was outstanding in the first half, considering he didn't have much to do to have the agility and everything and the concentration to pull that off was great. But yeah, let me know. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think, we talk about the stats to the eye test, and and how modern football is and stuff like that. And you can't, like people are saying about Tanner and stuff like that at the minute. Tanner's numbers in the last few games have been brilliant. I think that's his 3rd or 4th assist now in the space of 3 games. Now, like Matthew said there, after coming back from a long injury, a long layoff, that's all you can ask for your wingers is to make an impact. He's making an impact. Alex Robertson's situation, yes, at Wickham, he could have possibly got sent off. That's why Barry Murphy took him off, Barry Murphy. But I look at it the other way and go, if a player isn't taking one for the team, as we always say, take him out on transition, we'd be probably the first people to say, why aren't they doing it? Are we too nice? So at the end of the day, he's taken one and, he's tripped him up, he's caught him up to stop the transition. No problem with that at all. Absolutely no problem. There are going to be little clips throughout the game. It's being, like I said last week, it's about being reactive and proactive on the bench, isn't it? And making sure that we're not running risks. And Alex Robertson will be the first one. He's such a good player. He makes us tick. Him and Turnbull have got something going on. And listen, we're on 50 odd points now. To find little criticisms or whatever we want to call it, maybe that's because we're being spoilt with so many positives and we're used to and accustomed to having all these negatives to talk about. So to be 59 points, 18 wins, 5 draws, 5 losses, and a plus 23 goal difference, we're doing something right, aren't we? And like you said, we've got players to come back in that central area, i.e. Ruben Colwell. The competition for places is scary. It's really, really good. We've got all of a sudden a good few clasp of wingers that are trying to, the likes of Cian Ashford, who's trying to, get Ollie Tanner out of place and so on. And we've got a manager that isn't just focused on the now. He's using his research and his knowledge from previous years with Kellerman, and he's known that Kellerman's played up front to surprise, certain people like ourselves. And I'm all for it, mate. We are there where we are on merit, and Saturday will be a different game. But off the back of last Saturday's draw and kind of that gap closing with Lincoln, to get 3 points in the manner that we did, and with Lincoln winning as well, I think it's a good night.
100%, mate. And Stockport have hit a bit of form as well. So we just got to try and keep that gap between us and third going. On Ollie Tanner, like when you compare how he came back last year from his injury to this year, it's like night and day. Now, I'm sure it helps that they all seem happy and they're loving playing under the manager and they want to get back to it. And also there's an element last year where there was a few players rushed back because of the situation we were in. But he's just hit the ground running, and I thought he started the season really well. And I just think I like the wingers that we have in terms of they all give us something a bit different. Like Tanner's like a bit of a maverick, and you don't quite know what he's going to do as a defender. And then you've got Kean Ashford, who's got like a really high football IQ, like his movement and what he does to create for others is really clever. And then Chris Willock is, he's like the epitome of a confidence player. And you could see gradually through the season, he's getting more and more confidence. And I forget which away game it was now off the top of my head, but that one where he scores that late goal where we're on the break and he just pops it in the top corner. I forget what game it was. You'll probably be able to tell me. But ever since then, I've really felt like he's got this belief in himself, like that if he gets the opportunity, he can do some damage. And I thought Chris Willock was almost unplayable in the middle part of that game on Saturday. Like the end of the game, we kind of like just popping in about, and they just sat in after the sort of third and fourth goals went in. They very clearly sat in to make sure it didn't become an embarrassment. And we kind of just popped it around. And if we were able to create a chance, then we would, but we weren't going to sort of throw men forward, and nor should we have either, But I just thought the level of Chris Willock's finishing was unreal. I thought, look, the second one looks nice, but the first one is such a good finish. He kind of just drops the shoulder, sits the defender down and the keeper, and he just passes it into a little gap. And
was it Luton away when he scored it? I think it was Luton because
it was.
Yeah, it was a great strike on right foot, bent it in. I think the good thing about Willock is last year, I think, and possibly rightfully so, there was a handful of players weren't there that just the basics, just the attitude, the application, it just wasn't there. It didn't look like it was there. And, I had a little look prior to coming on today, and I think last year's stats were that he only had 2 goals and 2 assists. Yes, I know it's a different league this year, but he's already at 6 goals, 5 assists this year. So, from a personal perspective, he's going to go, well, look at me, I'm doing whatever he's doing. Only Ronan Gapacchio at Cardiff City has more assists than Chris Willock this year, according to FotMob. And that's one more. Capacchio's got 6 and Willock's got 5. So, he's creating big chances. And again, I talk about FotMob and, my go-to for a stat or whatever, but he's had 9 big chances created this year. So it goes to show us, like we talk about the production with Ollie Tanner and things like that, he's doing his job. And as players who are going, to managers, like the managers always go to players and vice versa. If he wasn't in the team, he's probably got some evidence to back up and go, hang on a minute, Gaffer, I'm putting up numbers here. You need to play me. And I think that's what's given us this success this year is the manager, like we always said every week, he demands a level of application prior to any match day. So Chris Willock's obviously doing something right, or Ollie Tanner and everyone else in that change room to warrant these starts, to get these minutes and to start showing fans, hang on a minute, don't forget about me. I don't want my tenure as a Cardiff City player to be remembered as the person who was almost the whipping boy of last year. Looked like he didn't give 2 hoots and, all the analogies of, he's only here for the money and all this. Well, this year, it seems like he's really, really invested into the manager. The manager's repaid him, and we're starting to see key moments with him. And that finish, like you said, always looks good. But he just didn't look like missing, did he? He was confident. He had that swagger about him, and everybody went to him. It's not as if it's all about him. Every single player runs and celebrates. And this is what I like about this year, Si. It's a real collective feel, isn't it? It's whether Ollie Tanner doesn't score or does score, everyone is there together, and we're starting to see the reason why we've got such a good team, because it is about the team. It's not about individuals.
100%, mate. And I wanted to make mention of Nathan Trott because, right. So I do think on the ball, he's looked shaky since that mistake. But to be fair to him, he hasn't messed about, like generally hasn't messed about, and he's gone a bit long, which has meant we've given the ball away a lot more because his short passing is so good and his long passing is probably not as good, but to be fair to him. But to have so he's obviously got a bit of nerves about it, which is fully understandable, but to then still have the focus and the concentration to be able to pull off the big saves and not let it affect the rest of your game, I think shows a tremendous mentality, because once you get that sort of lack of confidence or that those nerves, that anxiety because you've made a mistake, it's very difficult to get out of it. So it then does affect other things. And I think like that save in the first half was just unreal. I will say with Tuesday, if I was Barnsley, I would have wanted Alex Robertson sent off, and I would have probably wanted that penalty, even though I think Chris Willock's doing everything he can to not make contact with him. And it's one of them where you have to decide if he clips him or not. And I think the fact that the guy throws himself to the ground means that that's why he didn't get the penalty. But yeah, back on Nathan Trott, it's really encouraging to me that he's able to sort of manage the anxiety about the distribution side of it and still pull off saves like he did. And hopefully he'll get like that confidence of, back to where he was at the start of the season. But I'm also of the opinion, mate, is if you play out from the back and if you you build like we're looking to build, and you use your keeper the way that we're using Trot, you have to accept that at some point you're going to get caught out doing it. Like, it's just part and parcel of that. If you come up against the team, and as it was Ballard, it was really quick on him, you do have to accept it. And I think there's nothing wrong with him going a bit longer for now. But I would like to see it just get his confidence back.
We had it, we've saw the good and the probably the not so good, let's say, with that Ballard situation. We've seen what he can do, and I think it depends on the type of players in front of you, and I think it depends on the situations. Like you say, when you're 2-0 up, do we really need to be playing the ball out from the edge of our box? 2-0 is a tricky scoreline at times. If they go and nick a goal because Trott gets dispossessed in his box, or Callum Chambers because he sold him short a little bit, I think a lot of fans will be saying, why are we doing that? It's about game management. And I think that has come. I think you look at Gavin Ward on the sideline and Lee Riley, they do shout to him and say, hey, listen, it's about knowing when and where to do it. I think, it depends on what you want to see from your goalkeeper. We've been used to our favourite goalkeepers over the years have just been, old school goalkeepers. Keep the ball out the net. Like Nigel Clough, Brian Clough, wasn't it? I think Johnny Wilkins had told me that. He said that he used to just say, I just want my goalkeepers to stop the ball going in the net. But Trott is brilliant, and it didn't let him phase him. He keeps doing it. And I think he gets us ticking. And when Trott is ticking, it's like a well-oiled machine, isn't it? You see the defenders move up, they get more comfortable, the midfielders drop in. And that diagonal ball he can hit for 40, 50 yards is brilliant. And, it's nice that we're talking about one or two mistakes and we're top of the league, because they've just got to be highlighted. It's nothing bad, but it's just something that we can look at, so we can say that we're being both sides of the cart, let's say.
Indeed, mate. And I think, look, ultimately, Brian Barry Murphy will rotate the team again on Saturday. And I think he's doing a good job of managing that. But also, I think they have a plan for every game. And Burton will be the same. I rewatched the Burton game this week, and I actually rewatched the highlights and the post-match press conference a bit earlier, and you could see that he was really frustrated by that game, because we created so much chances. Their keeper made 2 or 3 great saves. We had a goal disallowed for Salic, which was really soft, which obviously would have opened it up. And obviously I think we cleared one off the line when they sort of had a set piece, and they were dangerous from set pieces. So it's one of those where, will Burton be a bit more aggressive on Saturday in terms of trying to play? I don't actually think they will. I think they will look to be solid. They will press in certain areas to try and force a mistake and get a throw in and stuff. But what we have to do is we have to have the right tempo, and we have to take our chances, because I think if you can get a goal in the first sort of 20, 30 minutes, that completely changes the game, because they have to come out then. And then I feel like that's when we could, even though it's away, we could have some real joy with it. So I'm hoping we start really fast. And again, like people are assuming that Callum Robinson starts Saturday. I don't necessarily think he does. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he does. But I think away from home, especially against a low block, that system that they played Tuesday, maybe with different personnel, I think it works like really, really well, because Kellyman dropping in forces one of the centre backs to go with him. And then when you've got the legs of Joel Colwell and Tanner and Willock and people like this and Alex Robertson running in behind, it's very difficult to defend against. Whereas if we go with an out-and-out striker, particularly if they go, if they go three at the back, it becomes harder again. So I'm really interested in what he goes with selection-wise, because I think he goes experienced in the centre-back areas. I think, even though I would like to see Fish retain his place, because I think he gives us such a different dimension with his passing, I do think Osho will come back in alongside Chambers. And I think that's what we'll see away from home a lot now is Wintle, Chambers, Osho, maybe NG, Willock, these kind of experienced players. But I don't know. I'm fascinated by the selection side of it because he's done a good job of rotating it. What do you reckon his plan would be? Like, when you think about it, how do you think we could best get at Burton, assuming that they're going to go with two banks of four again and, try and frustrate us?
I think our best form of defense is attack. I've always said it. I think we've just got to be the best version of ourselves. We talk about different types of grounds, don't we? It appears it's quite a narrow sort of old schoolish, let's say, ground. We look at their previous results. They conceded a last minute injury time winner at Bolton. We've lost there this year. So, that's not, on the grand scheme of things, a terrible result, let's say. They lost at Lincoln. We were on the show last week when they were playing. They deserved to get something away at Lincoln. And like someone said in the comments there, they appear to play better against the better sides. Now, whether that's because Gary Bowyer will kind of set traps or absorb a bit of pressure or a lot more pressure and hit us in like they did at home, who knows? But I just feel like Kellerman has shown a versatility that we've all got the appetite for now, and it's for Robinson then to push him out and say, well, hang on, I want that shirt. And it was a shame that the keeper made a brilliant save, didn't he, to stop it going from 5-0 the other night, because I thought that would have been nice for Robinson, especially talking statistically, to get another goal off the bench would have been brilliant. But I like the experience, like you said, the mix of the experience to complement the youngsters with the speed. And I think Gabe Osho is, he played brilliant, didn't feature the other night, but Will Fish and his diagonal balls, I said to him after the game, I said, you just love a diagonal like that. And he laughed. He said, yeah, but some defenders do it. I said, well, the good thing is you can notice with Will Fish, if they go towards a touchline because they think his diagonal is going to go right out to the touchline, he'll go inside it. And it's different ways of scoring goals. And like Lee's just said there in the comments there, why not keep the same side? Because I think that's what we've said this year, isn't it? At times we've seen quite a lot of selections being, let's say, rotation. But yeah, I mean, listen, again, we scored 4 goals at home. Our last away game wasn't bad, was it? Let's be honest. And you're going to come up to some sticky patches in games, so you've just got to have that experience and that know-how to deal with it. And I think, looking at their team, I think Beasley scored 9 goals from 3 of which have been penalties. We've only had 1 penalty, is it, all season? So we just got to be the best version of ourselves. And again, another sold-out, packed away end, going up there to get behind the boys in the this last stages of the season.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm fascinated by it, but I also think with Fish as well, defensively, he was excellent on Saturday as well. I think he won, I can't remember off the top of my head now, but I'm pretty sure he won 100% of his aerial duels and pretty high percentage, if not all of his ground duels. Like, he did his job and he was really secure. And like you said, his passing, but maybe on a smaller, sort of more narrow pitch, maybe you don't utilize that as much. Maybe you go with, I've noticed the last few games when Isaac has come on, he's come on through the middle. And I really like that. And I think that's a weapon away from home, having someone with genuine pace through the middle. So maybe you flip it again and you go with Isaac up front and Callum Robinson just off him, and you go all out attack and you go with the wingers and you set Wintle alongside Robertson or Colwell and you say, right, you two kind of just set and dictate the game and use Robinson to dip into the pockets and Isaac to play, in behind. It's such a look, and I know there's a conversation about transfers, and I know JT saying that we should be backing the manager in this window and stuff like that. But I also think that you don't need to don't need to fix what's not broken. Like, we're doing fine. We've got plenty of depth. We've got Ruben to come back. There's probably an issue at left back. I know they're trying to get that Scanlon in, although I think I heard today that he's probably going to a championship club, which is what it is with regards to loan players. But you kind of need a player like him who is coming back off an injury, who's not going to expect to play every minute of every game, or the club that he's coming from isn't going to expect that, because Joe Bagan's been so good. So it is difficult for him to bring players in. I think there is an element, though, because all these sort of academy players who were ready for probably to have a few minutes here and there have gone out on loan now, because they're rightly probably past under 21s football, but maybe not quite ready to, be in the senior squad week in, week out. Maybe it does leave you a bit short if you pick up a couple of injuries. But Mark Cox asked about Matty Apter. So he's got a bit of a groin issue at the moment. So he's I think he's having his minutes managed a little bit. But look, there's young players at the club, don't get me wrong, and Tankovic is back in training, which is a massive plus. I do think we'll see him in the senior squad before the end of the season, even if it's just 5 minutes or whatever. But he's so young but so highly rated, it's and I'm sure you watch him more than I do, but he's a real player, and to have him back is a bonus. I don't know where I stand on the transfer thing, mate. I sort of to and fro on it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, again, so I looked at the minutes that Joe Bagan's played, because I know we say it. So 2,288 minutes played, which, is by far our most that any player has played in our team. Second is only Trott. Then you've got Wintle and Salek. So when you talk about that, and I know there was a comment earlier on about the fitness, Scott came in, and obviously you've got Kev there as well, that I think Brian Barry Murphy has talked about it. He's not silly. He probably looked at that as well as a cause of last year. It's the same nucleus of players. Muscular injuries have been an issue at our football club for many, many years. And like you said, are we maybe better at managing it now? Maybe we've got, albeit an 18-man squad or whatever it is, we aren't playing at the same intensity as a championship. Possibly they're all mitigating factors, but it is definitely something I would look at. I mean, someone just said there about the youngster the other day. Caden Voice, he's a centre half, isn't he? But he had the assist because of needs must. Again, with the 21s, we're sending Louis Giles out. Jack Thomas is currently nurturing an injury as well. So he played left back and he got the assist. Now, that's good to see. He's a good prospect, isn't he, Caden Voice? And, first time seeing him the other day, and it was the 21s played well, albeit against 10 players against Brentford B. Nice to see Chris Burke back in Cardiff for the first time in a while. But the youngsters are playing a good way and a good brand of football. I'm not expecting them to be in the squad now, because obviously we've had our Virtue Trophy games in our Carabao Cup. But then these youngsters, it's again, I think it's that risk rewards, isn't it? Get the league sewn up, get promotion sewn up, then we can bring them in. That's the way I see it. Transfer-wise, you're probably overpaying January anyway. The Premier League clubs are very greedy. They want you to pay the salary and more, as we know. Championship clubs, they're also very greedy. But it always goes down to the last minute. And I think what people may forget at times is, being a Welsh club, we've got to go through the FAW as well to sign these players. So that's additional time in to get that ratified. Whereas if you're obviously playing in an English club, it just goes to the FA and it's one thing. And all these factors that probably prevent us doing it as quick as other clubs. But I just don't want to see getting it because we feel like we need to get it, if that makes sense. Because if we can save our pocket money with Ethan Horvath's wages freed up today and so on, and hopefully, like JT said there in regards to backing BBM, we said it before, get the league done. And then in the summer, right, give him a war chest, give him this treasure, this treasure of gold and go, right, there's Z funding. We want you to stay and carry on building your things, which hopefully then will make him believe that we value him as much as we do, and scares off everyone else, because I'm sure there'll be people asking for BBM services, and we can have a real strong squad next year. But yeah, that's the long story for me. I just think just don't overpay in January. Every club does it.
100%, mate. You've got to get. I do agree. I think we have to get a left back at a minimum, however that works. However, just before I go to the super chat, I was speaking to a couple of people from Wolves, and that before Caden voice come in, and they said like he's a real player, and he's can play left back, can play left centre back, and I know he's a centre back by trade, but obviously, like you mentioned, he played left back on Tuesday, was it? Because just needs must. Supposedly, I don't know, because I've seen that one game, but apparently he's got a tremendous work ethic, attitude. Like, they spoke very, very highly of him. So, hopefully he's a player who can develop and maybe end up being something for us. But you just never know with young players. So Matt asks, thanks for the super chat, mate. Makes it a lot easier when you got loads of comments. But he says, do you think Kerryman could return on loan next season once we are promoted back to the Championship? Yeah, I do. I did a video on that today, actually, on my channel. So thanks for the promotion. But yeah, I do think it's an option, and I think it would suit him and the club. I think it would suit us. It would suit Chelsea, and it would suit him. Like, he is loving his time in Cardiff. He's playing football under a manager who trusts him, a manager who knows what he's good at, what he needs to improve, etc. Why wouldn't you? Why would Chelsea want to take him back when they've got about 100 number 10s and wingers just for him to sit on the bench, or send him out on loan somewhere else, when you can send him to a club that he's comfortable at? You trust the manager. The manager's got a good record with young players. Like, it makes a lot of sense to then, send him back to us in the Championship. And then who knows what will happen in the future, because as good as he is, I don't think he's a £16 million player at this point. That was clearly, a PSR thing where they sent academy graduates both ways for a certain amount of money. Like, it is what it is, but he's clearly got a lot of quality. And I think, you'd imagine he will, if he stays fit, he will just get better and better. But I guess we'll see, mate, really, with that one. Let's get promoted first and foremost. I think it is interesting. Like JT says there, he says left back minimum, a 6 and a striker, because what's the plan if Wintle gets injured, or if Salic had been injured, at the weekend, and he was out for a long period? Do you then need to? Is that a weakness in the squad?
I would say it could be, because I think the issue is you take every game as an individual basis, and I think we probably did struggle against Stockport to have an outlet more than anything, because we talk about when Salic isn't playing, it appears that there's more balls getting chucked in the box. Now, whether that's because the opposition don't have to almost sort of worry about Salic's presence, I don't know, but yeah, it is. But then Robinson is a tough one, isn't it? Because his impact off the bench, as per numbers and stuff like that, is first in the league. So it's crazy, because again, we all do watch football with our eyes. Everybody does. That's a very Michael Owen quote to say, isn't it? But then players often don't. They will back themselves with numbers. Agents will do the same. They'll say, look, he's putting up X, Y, and Z. He's third in the team. Why is he not being playing? And I was listening to Sky Sports News earlier on with Darragh McCanty, is it, the Peterborough owner? And he was saying the same thing. He said, as much as fans don't see it, and we as fans, we won't see it, but owners and agents and stuff like that and managers, they use stats now. That's the way the world's going. So sometimes this is what we had last year, didn't we? Why are we changing things at 60 minutes? Why do we wait for 65 minutes? Again, science, data, it's crazy. Winter's been fantastic, but then you can always drop Joel Colwell in as a 6 for me, or because of the legs. And I think you've also got the Gabo show, which hasn't happened yet. You've got the Callum Chambers that can go in there, which we've seen. Alex Robertson can do it again. You look at what do you want from a number 6? You want to be defensively sound to help them, but you also want someone who can pass the ball and accurate passes per 90 minutes this season. David Turnbull's got 57.4 accurate passes per game, which is 87% completed. Callum Chambers got 57.2 passes per game completed, 84%. Ryan Winter's got 56.5 passes completed at 87%. The only other person that's got a higher ratio in the Cardiff City team, which we always say about and in a minute is injured, is Dylan Lawler. And Dylan Lawler has 63.8 completed accurate passes per game. Now, that's the way we want to play. And I know I yammer on about it. I'm no mathematician or anything. I get it off, like I said, I had a little look. But it does show how we want to play. If we're confident on the ball, Trott will then trust his centre-backs. In years gone by, our centre-backs run as fast as they can away from the box so the keeper can go long. Now we don't get that. And I think if BBM has shown anything, he's shown a bravery, he's shown a trust, and he's shown an honesty in his decisions, and he'll say to players like Joel Colwell up in Bradford at right back, it might be one session, but if you give me your all, I'll live and die by that. And that's needs must, and he did well. So yeah, we all want the shiny new sticker. We all get maybe a bit envious, a bit jealous to an extent of why are other teams signing players? Oh, that's a good player. Why aren't we in for him? Oh, Bradford have signed another player. Well, they're signing players because they're chasing us.
Yeah, Bradford haven't been the same since we beat them at their place.
No, my brah, she said that. She said we've almost blown the stuffing out of them, so to say. We popped their bubble, and that happens in football. We probably have the same sort of sticky patch, but I think that's what it is. Everybody this season, and someone said about the championship quality or lack of it, you do. If you're struggling, unfortunately, you press SOS, you press the emergency button, don't you? And you go, what can we get? What can we get? Okay, well, I feel like we probably don't, like I always say, we just need a few sprinkles on top of the cake. That's all we do. And if we don't get that, then okay, we'll carry on what's got us 59 points so far, trusting the players that we've got, understanding that some of the youngsters, maybe some of the experienced players will make mistakes, and we'll carry on, because what do we know? 28 games in the season, so we're over halfway. We've got no other distractions, i.e. the cup games. We've got no cup runs. We've got the teams that are chasing us in terms of Lincoln at home to come, at the back end of the season. And we've just got to concentrate on ourselves. And like I said, that gap is 10 points still to third. I know people, we always do. I look at Lincoln the other day going, oh, Lincoln's winning. Yeah, but don't worry about that. Let's have a look at third place. It's still 10 points. That means we've got to mess up in 4 games. That's a big, big ask. And I think, like I said, for us, yes, we all want the shiny new toy. We want a new £20 million player like everyone else does in the league and any world of football. But we've probably just got to be realistic at the minute and say there's probably not many people out there that would improve what we've got. And then, like I said, in summer, then when we can all bang down the door and bang the tan drum about why aren't we being active, because there's no excuses when we go back at.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I agree with that. And I also think I agree with you in terms of the 4-game cushion and the rest of it. I think Lincoln will continue to chase us down for at least a month or two. I do think Lincoln will actually fall away a little bit and it'll end up being us and Stockport. But you've just got to keep not slipping up. Win your home games, try and pick up some points away from home. And I think, we should be all right. But I also think that I was thinking about it. Someone just said in the comments about Willock is another player that BBM has improved this year. So here's a question for you, Jamie, right? You go through that squad. Is there a player? So don't think about too much like where we are in the league and stuff like that. Think in individual performances. Is there a player who's at exactly the same standard that they were last season or before BBM came in? Or has he improved every individual player to some extent? Whether it's work rate, whether it's movement or whatever.
Again, you've said it there. He's improved them. When last year was, let's be brutally honest, it was a shit show. Pardon my French. There was the whole organisation of things on the pitch and off the pitch was the shambles. That was pretty well documented, and that is why fans voiced their concerns in their droves. This year, it took us longer than what we all wanted to get a manager in, but it appears we got the right one in. And again, you hear Kian Ashford today talking about that belief and that trust. If you feel that you belong there and somebody comes to you and puts their arm around you and says, it's okay to mess up, it's okay to do this, you have a sense of, you're stress-free, aren't you? Without having those pressures and without having pressure on your shoulders, then you're going to see rawness like Ollie Tanner. Ollie Tanner last year, at times, like we all said about work ethic, that doesn't mean, work ethic is a basic human being. You don't have to be a footballer to have a good or bad work ethic. But last year, they were all slow to the second balls. They weren't chasing back. And this year, everyone's hungry. Like you said, we don't give sides much chance to breathe. But again, that's a collective, isn't it? It's not down to just the manager. There's backroom staff. There's a leadership group where we talk about the experienced players. Like Callum Robinson's not playing, but they all call him Uncle Robbo. And he hasn't appeared to almost put his tools on the floor and say, I'm out. Do you know what I mean? I think he's improved everybody. And again, confidence always makes players better, but also allowing them the platform to perform. It's night and day, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's like Callum Robinson as an example. I think he's improved Callum Robinson. Callum Robinson's movement and his link-up play is night and day to what it was previously. Like, is there times where I'd still like to see him sort of playing off the last man? Yeah, but as he gets older, he's not going to have that pace that maybe he had when he was 25. So he's got to find another way to play. And I think his link-up play, as an example, has been superb. I think Chris Willock is working really hard defensively, whereby he's not exposing Joel Bagan as much as maybe some thought he was, including me. Earlier in the season, I felt like sometimes he didn't want to do that extra yard, but he is now. And that comes with confidence. It comes with belief. And I think Chris Willock is a great example of a manager believing in an individual and getting something back from it, because it was very clear from the first game Willock played this year that the manager believed that he was going to play a big part this year. And I think fans probably didn't, or certainly thought, or Isaac or Kian or Tanner or whatever, they were all better because of what they'd seen last year. But I just think it's really impressive, mate. I've got to be honest.
Well, Port Vale away that night up in Port Vale, where he was taken off Chris Willock, and at such an early stage in the season, you almost felt like it was a continuation of the season before, and you didn't know where he probably stood. He had a long walk where, unfortunately, he had to walk past the away fans who were naturally frustrated with what was the apparent almost look of lack of any effort and all these sort of negative views and so on. And to be fair, it wasn't easy for any player to come into this league. I think we all have a perception, right or wrongly, that we should be winning it and so on. Well, at the early part of the season, it was their first home game. They were physical. We had to sort of learn the league. It was going to take us a bit of time. And that wasn't just on the pitch. It was off the pitch. Brian Barry Murphy had to take a few games where he was like, hang on, this isn't thing. Like you said, we were very open in games. That's why we saw these 4-3s and things like that. We could have been on the end. If it wasn't for Trott's saves, we could have lost quite a few of those games. And you have to learn. And I think the overall feeling so far is it appears like we are learning. We analyze, we look at it, then we move on, then we prepare, and we do the same thing. And it's rinse, repeat. Whereas last year, when you're losing games, your head's down, you don't look forward to coming into work, you probably don't look forward to taking your man on. And someone said in the comments earlier, is in the summer now, do we look at giving like BVM a new contract, similar to probably what we've done with Salek this week, or last week, because we want to keep our better things. We want to keep our shiny products. We don't want to be having outside people coming in and sort of taking our manager, because we don't want those distractions. But what we have said from day one is this is going to be a project. It's a reset and a project. So he had to put his own foundations in. He had to start building from the bottom in order to get some structure in place. And it appears, albeit 28 games into the season, that we are quite strong. And we've had a few stormy moments, but we've overall 5 losses out of 28 isn't that bad, is it? Let's be honest. And Mark Bright was at the other night, the Crystal Palace CEO, and everyone's thinking, why is he there? Why is he there? And I said to him, just don't take our youngsters, because you do, don't you? You get the bigger birds coming in and trying to nick out your nest. No, bugger off. And I think that's what we've got to be like, mate, is just say it. These are ours. These are ours, and we're not going to give them away, or you're not taking them, because we want to build our own empire, let's say.
How refreshing would it be if not only did we give him as much of a war chest as we can in the summer, but if we went and said, right, we renewed the contract of him, gave him like a 5-year deal, whatever, like just a long-term deal. Same with like Ruben and Dylan and these people, which I believe will be very difficult contracts to negotiate, by the way. But I'm just saying, as an example, how refreshing would it be that as well as giving him a bit of a war chest, you suddenly ended up with your big name youngsters signing long-term deals, the manager signing a long-term deal, because it would be a real indication that, one, this is a project that we're going to see through, but also it would be an indication that, all right, if some big club wants Dylan Lawler, they want Ruben Caldwell or whoever, they got to pay big money for him. And if they don't pay big money, that's right, he's under contract and we'll keep building and we'll get there ourselves, sort of thing. Will it happen? I doubt it, mate. But, we can be positive and we can be hopeful that, things will change and stuff. I wanted to bring up this point. Geraint said, last year we played like a bunch of individuals, 100%. Obviously, you just touched on that sort of thing. It was this one. Every minor setback, we've bounced back stronger. So you mentioned about us learning as we're going along. I think this squad has learned from that Port Vale game all the way through to Tuesday. We've found different ways to win games, to get draws, to get points. We've won dirty. We've changed shape. We've changed tactics. We've tweaked things as we're going. What is the most pleasing, and I said this on the EFL debate earlier tonight, is that as on top of that, and the manager tweaking things and things like that, is that whenever we have had a setback, a loss, whenever we've lost, we've then straight away from the next game been on it and just gone, boom, there's another, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games unbeaten. And I think that is so refreshing because it gives you a belief as fans that the wheels aren't going to come off. And even if we do lose one, the wheels won't come off because we'll just keep responding. Now, of course, as the season gets later and it's squeaky bum time, I said to you, like I felt like in the Bradford second half as a watching fan, I did feel like it was like quite stressful to watch. But that was only because we'd got the 2-0 lead. We were like, right, well, that's all right. Break us down and we'll let you on the break, which we should have done. But like, we're going to have a few games like that. It was interesting as well on the EFL debate. The Lincoln guy who's on there, Jake, he thinks that Lincoln can chase us down, and he thinks that teams can get at us because we conceded so many shots earlier in the season. And I tried to briefly explain that we've kind of changed since then, and I think we've changed even since the Lincoln game. I think you see a different way of playing, and particularly like that Bradford game. But look at since Lincoln, think of that first 20 minutes versus Wickham. That's been the blueprint for starting away games. We seem to be trying to start fast, get that goal away from home, make the other team have to come out a bit, and then sort of go in and try to do it that way, which is it's refreshing. But yeah, look, it's difficult not to be excited, and it's difficult not to have optimism for the first time ever. And I understand people are frustrated by the lack of transfer movement and all that sort of thing, but I don't know.
What's that old saying, isn't it? Is don't get too low when you're low, and don't get too high when you're high. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think we are a team, and that's very evident. Like Lincoln are there on merit as well as we are. Lincoln's home form, just like ours, has been a massive factor as to why they are where they are. They've ground out results. I don't think they were significantly better than us. I don't think that they were a side that we were played off the park against. And I don't think, even against Burton Albion last Thursday, when I watched the game back, Burton Albion had a few possible penalty shouts. They've had a few chances and so on. It's win at all costs. It's not about at this time of the season, playing a perfect way. And, again, on Saturday, we'll probably have some hairy, scary moments where we're thinking, oh, we go, here we go. And, Burton, they don't score many goals. They score on average 1 goal a game. But that's all it took when we played them at home, was their 1 goal to beat us. Whereas we're scoring 1.8 goals per game. So, you look at it and go, okay, on paper, everyone will have us down as the banker. But I don't think that happens within the building. And I think that's the good thing is we appear to have some structure in place. There is, the manager has got these players sort of, if he gives them a day off, it's probably with instruction as opposed to kind of, let's say, last year where at times it appeared like there was a reign of, in essence, do as you see fit. But again, the feel-good factor, it's great. Someone always wants to kick you down when you're feeling happy. That's the way of life. But I think there's too many people in our changing room that will literally just turn around and just, sort of buffer that off. Lee Riley showed that against Stockport, didn't he? He was very, very animated. He took one for the team so PBM didn't get a booking and whatever to tell the referee in no uncertain terms that he was wrong on several decisions. And, we're not going to get decisions off officials. We're not. We're 28 games into the season. We're not going to get it. But what we are doing is we're finding ways to win. Like people are saying, we're not allowing sides to enjoy possession. We're not allowing them to move us around the pitch because we've got a shape about us. We've got players that know their individual roles, but know their collective roles, when to move, when to press, when to play the ball. And listen, I said the other night down the ground was not many people would have experienced good times or a possible trophy lifting in their lifetime as a Cardiff City fan, because we've got a lot of young fans. So you can see down the stadium now, there's a lot more younger fans with their parents. And it's nice to see, because hopefully come what April, come what May, like we said, it'll be wrapped up and they get to experience that, because we're not the club that people seem to think, oh, you're not the biggest club in Wales. You're not this, you're not that. We are. We have the biggest fan base. We're the biggest club. And when we get back to the Championship, we will show those other two sides how big we are. And it's all about just keeping building and building and building, mate. And like you said, sometimes like Jenga, you're gonna probably have a setback. You'll pull the wrong block out or whatever. Just keep building back. And it's nice, mate. Like I said, it's selection headaches. Selection headaches. The manager. When do we have that in the past? We probably haven't had that.
Yeah, it's fascinating, like the selection headaches, because last year we seemed to change the centre backs. Just every time one of them made a mistake, we just change it, and then they make more mistakes because you're constantly changing it. Whereas this year, everybody seems to know their role. Everybody seems to know that, look, you're not necessarily being taken out of the team because of your performance. It's tactically we need this, or we're away from home, we need a bit more experienced, or whatever it is. you mentioned like the young people. Like my youngest boy is 16, and I said this to you before. Like I know it. I really noticed it when we played Chelsea. It was just like this mad thing to him, and then it kind of dawned on me. It was like, yeah, but he didn't live the promotions. He didn't live the big FA Cup runs and the Leeds game and all these different things that I have, and I kind of almost take for granted. It's like this mad thing. So for him, I'm like, yes, promotion is the main aim, but for him, like, I'm desperate for us to finish top. I want him to, see, like, do you know what I mean? Like, see us lift the trophy. Oh, Darren, you bell. Yeah, so it is. Look, it is what it is, mate. Looking to Saturday, how do you foresee that game going? Typically, my screen's frozen, so I can't eliminate the.
How do I see it going? Tough. I don't think it'll be a walkover by any stretch of the means. I think, like you said, we've got to get off to a fast start. Have to get off to a fast start. If we get off to a fast start, I think their fan base will be a bit anxious because they're just, I think they're joint on. I think they're just above the relegation zone on goal difference. So they need to start picking up points pronto because otherwise they'd be a precarious position. I think we just got to get shots off on goal like we did. We can score from outside the box. In it to win it, it's like a lottery. Shoot and you'll score, or have a better chance of scoring. I think if we do that, I think we come out 2-3-1 winners.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And I just want to very, very quickly say, we have a lot of fans come in from different clubs and that, and we have a bit of banter with them and a bit of fun, like. But there is a line, like, and if you're going to be a bell like that, then go somewhere else. But you're lucky because my screen's frozen, so I can't ban you. But there you go. But just as you were saying about us being the biggest club in Wales, and then you get something like that, which just kind of proves the point, doesn't it?
What's the Cranberry song in your head? It just seems very.
Let me ask you something, James. Have you ever been on a Swansea stream to watch?
Never.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's insane to me. But there we go. Thanks for the view. Yeah, I have a feeling, touch wood, mate. I have a feeling that we're going to go on a bit of a run. And I can't remember if I said it to you or if I said it to Matt last week or a couple of weeks ago. Like, I genuinely can see us giving a couple of teams a bit of a pasting. And when I see the way we played, even against Stockport, I thought we were really good at times. I just wonder whether we might, things just might start to click and we just start to just pull away a little bit. I hope so. And I think if we could go and put in a performance, including the clinical finishing, like we did on Tuesday away from home on Saturday, I think that would be a real statement of intent to everyone else. And I'm not saying, I'm not disrespecting Burton, in any way. Like, I know they're going to be fighting for their lives. They're going to be looking to, they're looking to stay up at the end of the day. But I just think, like I say all the time, if we play with the right tempo and the right mentality and we let our quality shine through, I just feel like most teams will struggle to deal with us. But, yeah, I don't know. What do you think of that? Do you think I'm getting a bit ahead of myself with that, or?
No, I think it's perfectly fine to have that feeling. I think everyone has that feeling. I think the players probably have that feeling. It's important that we do have that feeling because the moment you kind of change that vision and you then sort of start second guessing yourself, that little voice in the back of your head stops you hitting the ball past the defender or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like you just want to be full of confidence. And why wouldn't you be when you're top of the league? If Premier League, Arsenal fans, for example, they were very, very happy with themselves. Man City for years, they backed themselves because on merit they're there. And like I said, for me, is 100%. I agree with that. I echo that. I think we've got players that aren't League One quality. That's proven. That's fact. But we are where we are. We've retained them. We've kept them. We want them to get straight back up. And again, then we'll go back to where we were last year then in the Championship, and hopefully we'll be riding the wave going upwards as opposed to almost coming back down the roller coaster.
Yeah, so I can't do anything with the stream at the moment. Just bear with me a second because
it's all good. You'll be back now. No, I think it's a good time. I think it's a good time to just to keep going. I think it's important. You know, we aren't going to be perfect every game. We're not going to be, you know, beating teams with 80% possession. But what we are doing is we're managing games. And I think the most important thing of any winning run is not overplaying. It's being mindful of the threats of the other team, but also not giving them opportunities. Leighton Orient gifted them opportunity, didn't we? We lost 2 points there, I think. And it's important for us as fans just to keep enjoying it, because, you know, you're all making memories with your grandsons, your children, your partners, and as a club, it's massive to keep going. I enjoy this season. I'm just carrying on what you're saying there. So I think it's enjoyable this season. It's the atmosphere down the ground is a lot better. With the fan base, the youngsters they're proud to be a Bluebird, and it's nice. It's feel good factor, and it's infectious, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just really good, mate. I don't know what happened with my computer and my stream there at the end. Just gotten a bit mad. But Jamie, as always, mate, an absolute pleasure. I really enjoying these Thursday shows. And I know, thank you to everyone who tuned in. I tried to get to some of the comments this week because I didn't last week. Nice one for the super chats as well. We'll always get to them. And yeah, we got loads of content coming. If you haven't seen it already, I did a video on Amari Kellyman earlier, and I looked back at the Burton game in detail. Tomorrow, we've obviously got a preview and a tactical showdown and all the good stuff. And then we'll have the match day, 3 big questions Saturday morning before the game to get you in the mood. What time are you leaving on Saturday, James?
It's a nice one. I think it's about 9 o'clock this time, which is lovely because it's only 2.5 hours up the road on the train, isn't it? So it's going to be very good. I think the trains will be very lively, let's just say.
So it's a lie-in, mate, that is.
It is, but we've all said we'll probably go for a breakfast before the train for once, because places will be actually open as opposed to when we normally leave and it's pitch black.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Thank you so much. Keep the faith, and we'll see you tomorrow.
This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.